Later tonight, Durant out for the game with a strained hamstring. Kyrie Irving is available after missing one game with a back issue. Baseball, Phillies catcher JT Realmuto expected to miss about a month with a broken right thumb. Indians ace and reigning AL Cy Young Award winner Shane Bieber not in Cleveland camp yet. He's still recovering from COVID-19. College sports, the Ivy League won't have league play in the spring due to the COVID pandemic. In college basketball on ESPN TV and the app right now, start of the second half, number 11 Iowa with a 36-27 lead at 21st ranked Wisconsin. Luka Garza with 17 points. NHL Austin Matthews 2 goals. Toronto leads Ottawa 3-1 into the first period.
Hey, it's Greeny, and on a Football Friday, we'll be talking about the enormous trade. Carson Wentz to the Indianapolis Colts. What does it mean for all the rest of the dominoes? And do the Colts now become the favorites to win the Super Bowl? Friday with Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN+.
Isn't this a sports show?
You guys want to see my underwear right now?
No. I'm now intrigued.
I got some Deadpool undies. Look at my butt, you guys.
Almost entirely.
I was just reminding the audience, we don't know anything, so we're talking about Pokemon.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
All right, we're doing this show live from the bottom of a swimming pool, and, oh man, the chlorine levels are perfect.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
Sorry, it's 2019. I don't Netflix and chill. I listen to AES and drink Hennessy.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810.
Every time Beards plays one of the intros, it doesn't end with the big voice guy saying WHB at the end of Sports Radio 810 WHB. I commit a false start penalty. I'm just kind of waiting and hanging on it. And is he gonna? Oh, he didn't say it. Oh, I gotta talk now. Fair enough. That makes sense, I suppose. But it's always just a little curveball, which proves, for one more reason, that I do not have what it takes to be a major league hitter. Welcome to Almost Entirely Sports. I'm Joshua Brisco. Beers McFly on the other side of the glass. Rudy Salazar here in the studio on the other side of this pandemic pane of glass. It's been here for a while, and sometimes I still forget that it's there, or I forget that it isn't a normal thing to have just extra plexiglass in a studio. But that's February 2021, excuse me. February 2021 is just sort of a series of, is this weird or was this normal the whole time? I can't remember anymore. Just sort of where we're at this point. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of things in a whole bunch of different arenas tonight. We'll talk to David Lesky of Inside the Crown. He launched a newsletter through Substack, much like our friend Seth Kaiser, I think the day after the Andrew Benintendi trade when he was on with us, and I didn't even know that was in the works. But we'll talk to Lesky at 9 tonight about a whole bunch of things that he's written about so far at this point in the offseason with the Royals, preseason really, pitchers and catchers season, and everything he's written there has been excellent. I'm really excited to talk about some of those things. He's done an excellent job at finding some unique things to take a look at and zooming in on them in a way that's a genuinely fun, enticing read. So we'll talk to Lesky at 9, and then we'll catch up with our friend Scott Chasen of Fog.net, 24/7 Sports at 8 about some KU basketball things where we're at right now. It's been a little bit since we've done a check-in with Scott or done much in terms of checking in on the college basketball realm. We talked a couple nights ago about how it does feel sort of preordained at this point that KU will hit its stride right as Mizzou is fizzling out, and then even in this year that has been about Mizzou's successes and KU's failures in this region, KU will be the team that has more postseason success. That still feels like that's probably on the way, but we'll talk to Scott about that. I'll pitch that theory to him, and we'll see how he's feeling about where KU stands right now. But the news of the day, mercifully for me, comes from the NFL side of things, and
You don't want to talk about NBA All-Star selections for the starters?
No, I don't. No, not at all. It's not even in the notes.
All you need to know is Jokic is a starter. And that's all. We can move on. That's all that matters.
I mean, we really are gonna
We
run
can
the
move on.
gamut. Of,
No, we can move on. I have nothing else to say.
I don't even know who's on. I know Lillard didn't make it, and I don't care, Beards. Here's the problem with once
I know
the show
one person,
starts.
and it's Jokic. And that's all that matters.
Here's
the rest don't matter.
Something that I realized I could do just before tonight's show. I don't remember what it was, but Rudy and I are in the studio, and so the Beards has a button where he can talk directly to us, but it doesn't go over the air.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember what it was that he was talking about, but it was
NBA All-Star.
probably, I think it was NBA All-Star game related. And I just unplugged my headphones and just waved the adapter end in Beards' face so he knew that I did not care about the thing that he was going to try to make me care about. The problem is, if I do that now, which I have done, visual joke and an audio medium, we got it out of the way early tonight.
Got it done.
If I do it now, which I've done, it doesn't prevent you, the listener, from hearing Beards.
Mm-hmm.
It just prevents me from hearing Beards, but it's going to result in a bad audio product regardless.
So just leave it unplugged.
Which I guess, bad audio product regardless, sort of predetermined, I guess, in terms of this show. It's just what kind of bad product will we present you?
Probably a better bad, honestly.
I don't think, I will say this. This may be controversial. This may be really me really patting myself on the back too much. I do not think that me unplugging my headphones would make the show better.
I don't think it would make it worse.
Like, we already have enough crosstalk among the three of us, something that we have to kind of every once in a while hit a little reset button on and try to keep it front of mind. In fact, I think so far today we've been okay, except for Beards' interruption about the thing I don't care about. But I might get a little sticky note and just put it on one of the mascots in here or whatever that just says, like, we all get one. It just says, like, wait your turn. Maybe Beards gets 5 or 6 just on the glass. It says, wait your turn, and then also, I don't want to talk about the NBA All-Star voting.
What the hell? Where's Jaylen Brown?
Never heard of him.
I mean, what are we doing? Where's Jaylen Brown? It's just, I could not dig deeper inside of my own soul to find a way for me to care less about if Jaylen Brown is an all-star.
What are things that I cared less about than Jaylen Brown, whether or not Jaylen Brown's an all-star?
If Devin Booker's an all-star?
No, because I like Devin Booker. Like, he's a Kentucky guy. Like, I want as many Kentucky guys to, like, be all-stars and have success as possible.
I don't even know if Booker is an all-star this year.
All-star. I would
They
assume
just
so,
did
but I
starters
don't know.
tonight. That's all.
Okay. Well, I really don't care if Jaylen Brown is an all-star starter.
So your argument is that Jaylen Brown's gonna probably be in the All-Star game, Beards. Like, who cares if he's a starter or not? Like, oh goodness. I assumed all the rosters were announced tonight, and he got like, this was like some snub thing. Like, this was like some, it's not the same, but it'd be like just how saying it. I feel like we've said it every year for 5 years. Why is Mitchell Shorts not a Pro Bowler? Like, does the Pro Bowl really matter? No, but it's like, you know, you want your guy to be in. But like the full rosters aren't even announced.
Who is he better than that should get him on the roster, Beards?
Who is the Eastern starters? Just get like I need all 5 Eastern
now
starters.
He's winning.
Now.
Beards is winning because now we're talking
You asked the
about
question, so now I need all 5 starters.
East is Kyrie, Bradley Beal, and then Embiid, Durant, Giannis.
You named 4 players.
No, I named 5.
Kyrie, Beal, Embiid, Giannis,
Durant.
Oh, Durant. Okay, Durant was like I didn't hear the Durant part. Gotcha.
Boy, my jimmies are rustled. No, I care about that a great deal. I think that's going to have waves throughout all sports for the rest of time. Jaylen Brown, please. Just total nonsense.
Where's Tim Duncan?
Does he still have the significantly younger look than he had while he was a player going for him?
Even though he has gray hair while doing this significantly younger look?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think he's coaching. I don't think he's on the Spurs bench anymore.
He's not. I heard so this goes to that Robert Worry. I heard a podcast with him. Basically, he made the joke that Tim Duncan, because basically he was asked about Tim Duncan's clothing. And he was like, a lot of players, they blow their money away. Tim Duncan still got all of his money because that man never bought new clothes or jewelry.
Never.
He's like, I'm pretty sure the reason why he stopped coaching this year is because that one black jacket that he had that he wore for the game, it ripped.
Yeah.
And now he just doesn't have the clothes to even wear on an NBA bench anymore.
It was a weird.
Well, that was a good joke, Robert Horry.
A weird aesthetic turn for Tim Duncan. I support it. It was just very odd.
Another little tidbit that's random, but I also think it's funny.
I can't believe the first 12
I
minutes
know,
of this
we're
show are
on
going to be
Robert,
about the NBA
but,
All-Star Game and Robert Horry's podcast.
So it's not his podcast. He was just on.
Whatever.
But yeah.
I Jaylen Brown All-Star Game that, Rudy.
Yeah,
I couldn't possibly care less.
This is something I feel like it's so his background on his Zoom is there's 7 photos. And it's 7 photos of him in a significant moment in the 7 NBA finals he won.
Excellent.
And they were like, oh, that's a pretty big, that's a big power move. He's like, it is. The problem is I put it up there the first time as a joke because I was doing it with some friends, and I have no idea how to take it down. I was like, that's pretty good. I don't know if it's true, because if you knew how to put it up, now maybe somebody else put it up for him. But he's like, this has just been my Zoom background for every meeting I've had all since Zoom started.
If you had, it's 7, right?
7, yeah.
If you had 7 NBA Finals moments, the only thing that I would do differently, I think, is I would have each of them on a rotation.
Just rotating
or just every
through.
30 seconds it clicks to another one, just to remind you of all of these times that I've been excellent and the biggest stage in my sport. That's what I would do, personally.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Can't believe we let him win. So mad at you, Beards. We spent 10 minutes here, but I still don't give a bleep about the All-Star Game starters, and I certainly don't give a bleep about Jaylen Brown's spot on them.
Also, I know they're still having it for now. There's a 50% chance it never even happens.
A 50% chance feels about right. Are they trying to do the dunk contest at halftime?
They talked about it, yeah.
Dunk contest at halftime and then skills challenge and 3-point shooting before the game.
I'll tell you what, I care about that more than I care about who's starting on it in the All-Star game, because at least I can sit down and watch it all in one sitting like that. I kind of like that.
I saw a thing that was basically just like Aaron Gordon and I think it was Zach LaVine should just basically tell the NBA like $30 million. Like they should be like you obviously want us to entertain your halftime show.
Yeah.
We'll do it, $30 million.
We want a cut like we're boxers
Yes.
here. Yeah. Now that's good.
Like
And
we
we'll
want
just go
some
10 rounds,
we want
just
some
both of
prize
us.
money.
Yeah. Rudy, are you okay? Because you keep doing the thing
Yeah,
where you
I don't know
highlight-
why I'm highlighting things.
So
It's
Rudy is in the Google Doc just highlighting snippets of my Carson Wentz like sort of trade
and
notes
there's
and
no
everything.
reason behind it. I'm
No.
not reading it. I'm just
No, well, the reason that I phrased it the way that I did is because you did say before the show that you're on your 3rd energy drink of the day, and you've been here since probably 5:30ish.
yeah. I was a little late today. I got in at 5:40.
Wow, really slacking.
Yeah, a little slow.
Rudy's been running the Border Patrol since the beginning of the month, and also has been
14
here
shows in.
every night that we've had a show at night. It's been some long days for Rudy.
17 to go.
And not that he's counting down to it or anything. But Rudy's had some long stretches of work days. And today I feel like you might be in that place that you get at like, go think like high school age sleepovers. You know where you end up at like, everyone's kind of drifting at like midnight to 1. And you're like, oh man, we were gonna do an all nighter. We had some big plans. You were gonna play video games until the sun comes up.
Modern Warfare 2 at that time.
But everybody's kind of drifting around 1. But then at like 3 or 4, you get like you have a frozen pizza. You re-up your 2 liters of Mountain Dew Code Red, and then you kind of hit a ramp, and then you're just electric for like the next 2 hours.
Yeah.
But you're also not quite right. Like your eye's doing a thing.
So for us, it was always go to the gas station, get a Monster BFC.
Yeah.
Which
stands for big ol' can. F is silent.
That will keep you up all night. But here's the thing: that thing will make you real jittery. Like you start feeling like at first you're fine, but then as you work your way through the thing, at some point you start feeling like I feel like it honestly. Like I've never had withdrawal symptoms before. I've never felt that. I've never been addicted to something enough to where when I stop. But I imagine it feels like that.
Your heroin use was very moderate.
I imagine it feels like that.
Yeah. I'm afraid that that's the window that you're in right now, where if like by the time Lesky's on at 9, I'm a little bit nervous about just sort of your faculties.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you might fall asleep at 9.
I'm all right with that. I can take a nap at some point.
Yeah, I would say
Maybe can we how about this? Here's
Pretty
here's
much
the
Start
plan.
now.
just anytime that Beards
At
brings up the All-Star game.
8:30 to 8:45, Beards can just rant about the All-Star game. We'll take a nap.
Yeah, that's fun. And it usually goes pretty well whenever Beards gets the floor to talk about the NBA by himself.
Yeah, because here's the thing: he's super knowledgeable about the NBA. The guy
Yeah.
can go for a long time just on the NBA.
Yeah.
By
Beards, go
long
ahead
time, I
and-
mean 10 seconds.
Beards, go ahead and line up that liner a whole segment in advance, why don't you? Just so people can know what we're talking about next segment.
which one?
Can I read you a headline while he looks for this?
Oh, I don't want you to play it now, Beards.
No,
Just put
I know,
it. Just
I
put
know.
it in the archive. But yeah, go ahead, Rudy. We're gonna talk about Carson Wentz in a second.
Lil Uzi Vert and Grimes plan to get Neuralink brain chips so they can have, quote, knowledge of the gods.
I mean, I would love to know more
Unquote.
about. So Lil Uzi Vert has a $24 million diamond in his forehead at this point. Grimes is married to Elon Musk.
Mhm.
I don't know if they're
I
married.
assume that's
They're-
where they
whatever,
get
they're together.
the chips from, right? Like he's obviously designing these chips.
God, I do need to know about
Basically,
Neuralink chip.
yeah,
It doesn't let
so-
them telepathically communicate, does it?
Here's how it started. Lil Uzi just tweeted out Neuralink. Grimes then responded, "Let's get brain chips." Uzi responds, "I'm ready. When we doing it?" Grimes, "Let's aim for chips by 2022. It's experimental surgery, but if it succeeds, we'll have the knowledge of the gods. Ha ha."
So we've definitely talked about this before, which is silly. Oh yeah, Musk told users of private app Clubhouse that Neuralink recently used its nanotechnology to implant a chip into a monkey's brain, which he
That's-
claims allowed the animal to play video games using only its mind.
That's still that couple
Yeah,
just
Grimes
still
and Elon
doesn't
Musk.
make sense,
It's a weird
right?
one. Yeah,
I mean,
it's a very
hey,
strange one.
good for them that they found happiness in a weird place. It's just weird.
It is absolutely weird. We've definitely talked about like biotechnology on this show.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried to get as close as possible just when we talked about AirPods and Apple Watches and whatnot. Brain chips is right on the edge for me. Because if it's really in there and it's really kind of you can't just take it off because it's in your brain. That would make me a little antsy, I think. But pretty much anything else I'm here for. If I could get, all my house, car, and 810 key in
Key
my
fob,
pinky
yeah.
finger, and I could just scan to open doors with my pinky finger or whatever, I'd be all about that.
Man, what happens when you quit though and they have to cut your finger off?
I mean, that's not how that works.
First of all, I'm going to work here forever.
Okay.
Second of all, I think you could probably reprogram those. You'd have to go in and get the
Yeah.
chip reprogrammed, Beards. It's
I
not.
don't even think you would have to necessarily get the chip reprogram. I think there would honestly be like essentially a website you go to that just deactivates.
Yeah, that's a
that
great
part.
point.
Because
I think
it
you
would
got
be
10
one.
jobs in you.
Because it would be one. It would be one chip that would just have in this one chip all this data. Like you wouldn't
Yeah,
need three.
that's right.
You obviously wouldn't need 3 chips, one for each device. It'd
You-
be one chip that has like 10 uses. to
Basically, it has a passcode in it that you could
Yes.
go in and say, whenever you swipe this over, it inputs this passcode.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, actually, at my house, the house has, I don't have a house key. It is a number pad, which
Oh,
is
same. I got that
so
now, too.
good. I
It's
love
very
it.
nice.
And the code is
one
something
time-
I'll never tell you.
Yeah, one time a roommate not too long ago. We've had it for a year, so I've only had this problem once. Had also locked the bottom part, and it was like, well, that's no good
So now
because
you're
even though the
locked
top
out.
is unlocked,
Yeah.
the bottom is locked. Fortunately, my roommate was home, so he came down and unlocked it. I was like, yes, we keep this part unlocked.
Yeah, that's not ideal. But as long as you don't do that, it's great. And something you could scan over it and just be like, oh, yes, this is,
This
Eight-
is Mr. Joshua Brisco.
810 is the code that's in my fingertip. And so I scan over, and that's the thing that unlocks my front door. If that's not the code of my front door, please don't find my house and try it. I'd prefer you just leave that alone. Thanks for
The
your...
code for his front door is 0810.
It's not, and also
Just go try it.
wouldn't tell you if it was. Please don't come try it. I got a little, I have a little video doorbell now.
Ooh, true.
So, smell, you're on camera, all that good stuff. Anyway, I'm down for kind of all of those things. Eventually, if I could just, if the Apple Watch basically somehow gets like implanted. Yeah, you're putting a screen in there, and I'm feeling like Buzz Lightyear. I'm probably going to give that a shot, if that technology becomes widely available at some point. But in all likelihood, it's going to be, wearable tech I'm here for. You put a little chip in a ring, that's fine.
I think at that point, though, like,
by the way, sorry, really quick, the thing that I just laid out with putting it in your finger, why don't we just put that in a ring? That makes a whole lot more sense, and you don't have to inject chips into my pinky.
It's more fun if it's in, like, it's microbiology. If it's in a ring, that's not microbiology. It's just technology.
What happens when you lose the ring?
I mean, better than losing your finger. Like, it's like kind of if Lil Uzi gets robbed and they take his $24 million ring, that sucks. But if they take his $24 million forehead diamond, that sucks a lot more.
Still $24 million out.
I'm afraid to reference Avengers because I still haven't watched any of WandaVision. I don't want to lead us down a path of spoiler territory. I don't know if I could do a chip in my brain.
If I didn't have to pay for it,
I guess it depends on what it would do, right? Because here's the thing.
I'm here for to be because part of this is I assume I'm also being compensated, but I'm 100% down to be like a guinea pig for something like that. Yeah. Because again, like when you talk about like the watch thing and like a screen in your arm, and so like the way I view it as
that's what happens when it breaks.
There's not going to be a screen in your arm. It's just all going to be like in your eyes. Like it's just essentially going to be
put chips in my eyes. I'm here for that 100%.
Well, it might be like the brain, but like it's connected. Like you know what I'm saying? So like the brain chip can do, I would say, all of that.
It really bums me out that Google Glass didn't end up working out.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I could have ruined my life with that.
Yeah, there's something like that is, and so like that's kind of what I'm thinking, like something like Google Glass, but it might be a contact. It might essentially just be a contact.
I'm ready for that. I'll take that.
I think that is
100%.
probably before. I'm pretty confident saying before brain chips, we'll have like essentially a computerized contact of some sort.
We can go back to the glasses.
Probably the next step.
We can go back to the glasses. We'll try the glasses again. God,
they just also had to be like a good style because I feel like Google glasses were also like
too dorky.
They
just
were
real
ugly.
Yeah.
Too dorky. Just listen, Google collab with Ray-Bans and we're fine. This isn't that hard.
By the way, all you guys are doing is describing Cyberpunk so far.
Well, we want our stuff to work though.
Yeah.
Oh, it does.
That's the difference.
Unlike Cyberpunk and everything that it touches.
Yeah, that's the difference, Beards.
Also, I think brain chips would still be delayed by less than that video game was.
That's what I was going to say, too. Also, when it's announced that it will come out in that year.
In that same decade, yeah. Yeah, I think it probably will. I also do want to have customizable hands and feet.
As we all do.
Just like Cyberpunk advertised. Anyway. You know what I wish Beards had? A reset button.
Sure be nice.
I wish the show and Beards both had a hard reset button. Because this segment was going to be about Carson Wentz getting traded until Beards made a whole deal about, what's his name, not being an NBA All-Star game starter. Jason Tatum?
Jaylen Brown.
Whatever.
Tatum can be on the bench. And he will be.
The Celtics bench?
So will Jaylen Brown.
Sixth man of the year?
He'll be okay.
How does it feel, Beards, knowing that the Celtics had all those picks and it turned into absolutely nothing?
You mean it turned into Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown?
Yeah, trophies.
Yeah, pretty good.
Confetti.
So far, it's nothing.
Yeah, confetti coming down. Yeah, Beards. Good regular season performance is what we all dream about when we're little kids.
I don't even think the Celtics.
How many of your
having a
teams
good
made it to
regular
3
season.
conference championships in 4 years?
Shot clock winding down. 3, 2, and he hits the shot, and they're above 500 on the season. Yeah, that's what we all do in the backyard, Beards. Rudy, don't you think it's funny that whenever we talk about the Celtics, Beards is all like, what about conference final appearances?
Yeah, which is real funny.
And whenever we talk about LeBron's success, it's like, well, Jordan never lost in the finals. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, hey, in Boston, they hang banners for playoff appearances.
That's right.
Oh, hey, Boston's 14 and 14.
Do you guys want one of our banners to share?
Boston's at 500.
No, it's just that since we've been alive, I think you're up by 1. Remember when people were saying that they'd take Brad Stevens over LeBron James?
I was not one of those people.
I'm sure you weren't, Beards.
Nah, no chance.
No chance.
Absolutely not. You would have taken him over everybody else. You'd be like, all right, asset draft, we'll take LeBron 1, Modern day, current day Michael Jordan 2, Brad Stevens 3. Bill Russell 3, actually. Brad Stevens 4.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Current modern day.
Oh, but the only thing difference, he would absolutely take the current modern day Jordan and Bill Russell over LeBron.
Yeah, that's fair.
17 rings.
I mean, I literally may as well be talking about fiction. Congratulations, Beards. The Celtics won their first title during the Revolutionary War. It's super relevant. Let's take a break. Whenever we come back, I want to talk about quarterbacks, Carson Wentz, draft capital, cap hits, all sorts of fun stuff. And I can tell you with my hand to God, we will not be talking in any way whatsoever about the NBA All-Star Game.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
Hey, it's former Jayhawk Greg Gurley. Kansas fans and alumni are in every city and state we play. If your favorite Jayhawk fans are missing home, send them some Joe's KC barbecue. Nothing beats home court and championship barbecue on game day. Joe's will ship anywhere in the U.S. It's easy to reheat, and it tastes just as good at home as it does at Joe's. You can ship all of Joe's favorites, like ribs, brisket, burn ends, and even the famous Z-Man. Ordering is easy, and it's just a few clicks away at joeskc.com.
At Consolidated Communications, your small business is our priority. We know every penny counts, so we're focused on price and flexibility. Get powerful, reliable internet with no data cap, starting at $19.99 a month when you bundle with phone. Choose from speeds up to 100 megabits and lock in savings up to 3 years. Plus, get free installation. We also offer business website solutions to help you enhance your online presence. Visit consolidated.com/fast business internet. Not all services available in all areas. Terms and conditions apply.
Winter is coming, so plan now to keep those bugs out with Augustine Exterminators. Now is the time to establish and or maintain a barrier around your house. Don't let it break down. At Augustine Exterminators, they have you covered. Augustine Exterminators is a family-owned, local business since 1966. All of their techs are certified in both Missouri and Kansas. In fact, check out their amazing reviews from all their KC area customers. They're also a Quality Pro and Green Pro company. Augustine also does carpet, rug, air duct, and tile cleaning. They have an excellent referral program as well. Refer a new customer, and you and they get $25 off their next service. That's right, refer a friend, and you both get $25 off your next service. Shop and buy local with Augustine Exterminators. Call Augustine Exterminators today at 913-359-8627 or go online at AugustineExterminators.com. And Augustine is looking for qualified technicians. So call today at 913-359-8627.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
Hey, Kansas City, winter is here, and without proper attic insulation, you'll be losing money every time your furnace turns on. Star Company's installation is here to help you save money. Adding insulation to your attic will make your home comfortable, allow your furnace to run less, and save you money every minute of the day. And Star Company's gives you a 10-year warranty that others won't. Call Star Company's today for a free quote and ask about all the ways they can help you save money this winter. 816-353-2160. Again, that number, 816-353-2160.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Did you just lose a cap of a pen? Yep. It's gone forever. This pen's useless now.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Beards, that's not the liner of you feeling I talk about basketball for 24 seconds. We planned this.
I know.
He forgot.
No, I had this one already ready to go, and I wanted to play it first.
And he forgot.
But whenever you play the right liner in 20 minutes, it's not going to make any sense. It's going to be 25 minutes late.
I didn't even hear the line I currently played.
It would be like me. Okay. It'd be like me saying, all right, let's talk about the NBA All-Star Game.
Stop talking.
Yes.
This is a trick to get us to do another segment of NBA talk.
No, it's not going to happen.
I mean, would you rather have Damian Lillard or Luka Doncic starting the All-Star Game?
I'm not listening.
I just heard static when he said names there. Yeah. I just heard him say Devin Booker or Devin Booker, and my answer is Devin Booker.
If I have to choose between Nikola Jokic and Nikola Jokic, I'm going to take Michael Porter Jr.
I do. You almost got me to the NBA conversation that time, because there is a thread about Michael Porter Jr.'s defense, and Rudy, you might have a problem. You might have a problem with Michael Porter Jr.'s just sort of defensive energy levels. It's tough.
Am I supposed to be surprised?
No, it was just jarring.
Like here's the thing. I know he's not like a good like defensive player, but that's not why he's on the team.
It is gross. I'll send you. I imagined you saw it. If not, I'll send
I
it.
have not seen
We're
it.
not gonna talk about NBA stuff this segment though.
I'm good.
Although I do kind of want to a little bit, just because the Michael Porter Jr. thing was just a tough look.
Yeah, I mean, I legitimately don't know. I haven't been able to watch their last couple of games. I know he has struggled offensively, which like that's the problem. Because like that's what he does.
Well, let's not play defense.
Beards, turn off your microphone. You lost microphone privileges. You derailed the openings. You derailed the opening segment of the show, and then you played the wrong liner. This one's on you.
You're really Jaylen Browning it out up here.
Don't even know who that is. Name doesn't mean anything to me. The news of the day was that Carson Wentz did ultimately get moved. He was traded today to the Indianapolis Colts. Is a 2021 third-round draft pick and a conditional 2022 second-round draft pick that could turn into a first-rounder for the Philadelphia Eagles. The player in question and the draft picks that ended up being thrown out there gave me an instant reaction that more or less amounted to kind of a, yeah, okay. Which is how I know that it's not a crazy deal one way or another. If I'm not angry at one of the sides, and I honestly feel similarly with the Matt Stafford, Jared Goff trade that I'll bring back up here in a second. At the time, my thought was, that seems like a lot, and it is a lot, but yeah, okay. I get it, I guess. The DeAndre Hopkins trade was a scream at the sky and wonder what the bleep is going on there. Whenever Deshaun Watson gets moved, it's going to be one way or another a trade that's going to spawn takes aplenty, because I'm going to make the argument ahead of time that it is probably literally impossible for Deshaun Watson to actually return his real value to the Texans if they do move him. There's just, unless Seattle is like, we're really done with Russell Wilson, and also we have 3 first-round draft picks for you.
Mm-hmm.
Then okay, fine. But if it's not literally impossible, it's functionally impossible.
The reality is the only way you trade Deshaun Watson and feel like you dodged a bullet is if like he just suffered some career-ending injury, right? Like,
right, and
you can't predict.
Right, that's
like
on the wrong side of the decision.
Yeah, like that's just like that. And again, and even if you could like trade more than 3 years worth of picks, because I can't remember if it's 3 years worth of picks or if it's 3 years out from the current draft. It's one of the two. Point being, like there is a limit on how far you can go out.
Yeah.
Even if there wasn't a limit, even if it was like, hey, every year that he plays, you get our first round pick. I mean, don't get me wrong, 15 like an extra first round pick in like 15 straight drafts would be great. I don't know if it's like
the odds are that it will never return you a Deshaun Watson. The odds are that it will never return you the player that you just traded away. But specific to the Wentz trade, it seems generally fine enough. I understand it from the Colts' perspective. I'm going to tell you on both sides. I think both sides made some reasonable choices that led to this point, and then also I think both sides have done something a little bit silly. But from the Colts' perspective, I understand that because they were too good with Phillip Rivers, they're not really in the game for one of the top rookie quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And even then, are you confident that one of those guys is going to make you a starter? And you're not talking about, they're not going to have the capital to get up into the top 2 or 3, probably 3 or 4 quarterbacks in this draft. But if you say, you know what, we think that one of those guys up there, maybe we could go get, it's a gamble. So is Carson Wentz, of course. But this is a team that's in this very odd space where it seems like they're really convinced that this is a win-now opportunity.
Yeah.
Even though I think they have some really obvious talent deficiencies in places.
I don't know who he's throwing a football to.
That's going to come up here in a second look, you didn't have to move one of your first 2 draft picks this year, so you can use those on a couple of pass catchers if you want. But the offensive line is good. The defense was good last year. They're going to have to make some choices again in terms of pending free agents. T.Y. Hilton's a free agent. I believe Justin Houston's a free agent this offseason.
Zach Pascal, who was there, I think their number 2 receiver. I believe he's a restricted free agent, but he's a free agent.
I think that's right. A good number of their key defenders are hitting free agency at this point. So I'm not totally sure that they're in as good a position as they think they are.
Quentin Nelson, though.
They've got a guard. They've got a guard.
Jonathan Taylor,
I don't want to talk about Jonathan Taylor. But whatever they believe about where they're at.
Nyheim Hines, though. He did a backflip once.
Whatever they believe about where they're at some point I think that it's the most important thing in the sport to be reasonable about your standing in a certain season, and in some ways I'm done fighting teams over the radio of trying to convince them that they're not nearly as good as they think they are.
I'm not. You never should have drafted Jonathan Taylor first round because you have Nyheim Hines. Another fact that, hey, teams, stop drafting running backs in the first round.
You could have more talent in more important positions if you would have used that draft pick. I believe it was an early second, right? On Jonathan Taylor.
Actually, you might be right about that.
Definitely wasn't a first-round draft pick because only one team took a running back in the first round, and they made the Super Bowl. It was clearly a good pick. But if you don't draft running backs highly, you can use those positions on more valuable. You can use those picks on more valuable positions that benefit your
100% right.
High second rounder.
Yes, 41. So the 9th pick.
So whatever the Colts believe, I'm not gonna get to argue with Chris Ballard about it or whatever, and that's fine. The best argument they probably have is Frank Reich's gonna make Carson Wentz look good again. And if that happens, this trade will probably be worth it. The thing that I think the Colts end up in a strange spot on is partially because I don't think they have true clarity about where their team is at right now. But they were pretty good with Phillip Rivers last year, and they're in a division that has a ton of question marks. The Jags are a disaster that are about to get their quarterback. The Texans are a disaster who are about to lose their quarterback. And I think the Titans are probably going to continue regressing by some small steps until eventually they crater. So at the very least, the Colts rightfully consider themselves to be a division contender. They are. That's true. But even if you get Carson Wentz to perform like Carson Wentz, you're paying him much like the Eagles believed Carson Wentz would be worth that value over the next couple of years. This is where I think this deal is at its most interesting. This is from CBS Sports. Philadelphia will take on $33.8 million in dead cap space by trading Wentz, the largest single dead cap hit in NFL history per SpotTrack. That shatters the previous record set by the Los Angeles Rams, who will take on $22.2 million by trading Jared Goff to the Detroit Lions. From Eagles Wire, the Colts will assume the balance of Wentz's $128 million contract extension, including the $10 million guaranteed roster bonus due March 19th. Wentz has a cap hit of $25.4 million for the Colts in 2021 following the trade. Even with Wentz on their roster, the Colts project to have around $50 million in cap space in 2021. His cap number across those final 3 years for the Colts would be $31, $34, and $32 million. Did Siri hear me say something interesting?
Yeah, she's wondering what would you like her to convert $32 million to?
My bank account. To Joshua Brisco.
She said no.
Okay.
She sent it to a Joshua Brisco with an E.
Dang it! All this time you had a $32 million just ready to move,
Just
and
ready
it went
to
to
go.
the wrong Brisco.
Just
Damn.
ready to go.
So frustrating.
Happens all the time.
The thing about this that doesn't really make sense from the Colts' perspective, other than what do they actually believe where they're at right now, is they're paying Carson Wentz. Like, again, the Eagles wanted to pay Carson Wentz a couple of years ago when he signed this extension.
That Carson Wentz doesn't seem to exist anymore. And I'm not really sure if that Carson Wentz ever existed.
Wasn't he like second in MVP voting one year?
He was. And then since then, he's had injury issues. And last year, he was a garbage fire.
The year that he was second in MVP, he got hurt. And since then, he has not really been
They went on and won the Super Bowl
I was just about to ask
without him.
Yeah.
Without him.
And here's the other thing. Like,
he also had one of the best offensive lines in maybe NFL history that season.
That was in 2017. And man, 3 years is a lot. Like, once 3 years go by in the NFL, that's a lot of time. To sit here and think that any player is going to be the player they were 3 years ago, man, a lot can happen in 3 years. I mean, a lot can happen in 1 year in the NFL. Like, it has been by NFL standards forever since Carson Wentz was playing at an extremely high level.
Well, and here's the other thing about that. We're talking about 3 years ago. I feel extremely confident in saying that was Carson Wentz at his ceiling. How often do you see someone hit their ceiling, bottom out, and then not rebound, but get back to their ceiling or exceed it, which is honestly what the Eagles were paying him to do. Mm-hmm. The Eagles were paying Carson Wentz not just because he hit his ceiling that year, but because they believed he was going to continue to get better and to be able to still be at that ceiling with less support around him because he was going to take up some of that cap space. That offensive line was going to continue to get older, weaker, less expensive because you're worrying about paying your quarterback. He never had a whole lot of weapons around him, in fairness, but that offensive line was truly excellent. You are seeing that price tag still attached to him, where even if the Colts get him back to his absolute ceiling, which is so very difficult and for me is just about impossible to predict that to happen, I think that's largely unreasonable. Even if that return to form happens, and the Colts have the offensive line to try to replicate a lot of those circumstances, it's paying him to be that and then maybe more beyond it. Mm-hmm. And I just don't see the path to that end result being very plausible at all. And they didn't have to pay in draft capital what you would expect from a quarterback who's going to hit that range, but they did pay they are going to be paying in dollars and in cap hits what you expect from a quarterback performing at that level. And I just wonder why they believe that he's going to get back to that place.
The one thing I do see on Spotrac, and maybe this is the where you feel comfortable taking the risk at the very least for 1 year, is that after this year, the last 3 years of that deal are he has a $0 dead cap.
Right, they can move
the last
on
3 years.
from.
So if they want to if they feel like if he's just atrocious. My guess is, though, you're not trading a second and third, or a third and then a second, maybe a first round pick for 1 year.
Right. Well, this is the issue. It's also something that some people brought up on Twitter, where that second goes to a first based on number of snaps played.
Yeah. It's unless he gets hurt, it's a first round pick.
Well, or if they're 10 games in and he's terrible, you may as well play whatever quarterback you draft in the fifth round those last few games to save your first round pick. But at that point, you are essentially washing out your second and third round picks that you traded, this grand experiment. You are ending that experiment after 10 weeks, which I imagine probably isn't going to happen because they're probably going to be in contention for that division. And you can look at the fact that they can get out from that money after this season, but you are immediately admitting that those draft picks just turned into absolute vapor right in front of your eyes by a choice that you made.
It feels like without a doubt, Carson Wentz is going to get 2 years in Indy unless something crazy happens. And it very well may be 3, but it feels like it's going to be a 2-year experiment at the minimum.
You've got to be willing at this point, if you're the Colts in this situation, you've got to be willing to stick with Wentz for at least that length of time to justify these draft picks. But if he comes in and he stinks,
he's really
what
bad.
was the point of trading for a veteran in the first place when you could draft someone and you could know that your cap hit was going to that number was going to be very team friendly for 4 or 5 years, depending on where you draft them, And you can try to build around that guy. And then if he's not great for your first 10 games, you also have the logic of, well, this is also our long-term investment. I saw some tweet say, in the Colts hope they finally have their long-term answer at quarterback, or their quarterback of the future. Phillip Rivers was a 1-year deal, obviously. But the idea that Carson Wentz is going to be a Colt in 5 years, I just think is almost, it seems almost impossible.
And honestly, like, I think this is the move I would have done, and part of this is because of who this other guy was playing under, that I still have some hope in him. Sam Darnold seems like still seems like the smarter choice there. If you were gonna go trade for somebody to get that younger quarterback on a rookie deal who's approaching free agency that you don't have to spend a lot of money on right now, but if he turns out to be good, you can, but you're not necessarily forced to just ride him.
What, forced to what?
Just like that's the player that you're riding on. Like that's your guy.
And that's one way to put it.
I mean, it's an extremely common phrase. I've literally heard it like Tony Romo said on a weekly basis about Patrick Mahomes.
What did he say about Patrick Mahomes?
The Chiefs ride Patrick Mahomes.
I think there was something special about the flavor you put on your first pass at that phrase. I just think that
it very, very well might be possible. I'm just saying the phrase is not
opposing
like
fans also think Tony Romo does a lot more to Patrick Mahomes. So
that's
also a great point.
They absolutely do think that.
The issue with like a Sam Darnold argument, and again, I think that like the idea of, hey, can we give you a 5th round pick for Sam Darnold and you guys can start over, and we're gonna see if we can rehabilitate Sam Darnold. It's much more similar to like the Josh Rosen fizzled out failed experiment, where I think you can bring him in and say, we'll let you compete with the rookie that we drafted, we'll let you compete with some other veteran or whatever. Where I think the argument, I think I would rather trade a mid-round pick for Sam Darnold still on his rookie deal than for Carson Wentz on this one with what the Colts had to give up. But you're still probably not considering that to be the answer. The Colts seem to think that Carson Wentz is going to be their quarterback answer, at least for a couple of years, which I do think is probably ill-advised.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Again, I still think that Sam Darnold, and part of this again might just simply be because of the coach he played. Not part of it. It's 100% because of just the coach he played under. I'm not sold that Sam Darnold's not actually good. Like I'm not sold that Sam Darnold actually is a Josh Rosen type, because I've just watched Ryan Tannehill go from being a complete dud to like an actual legitimate top 10 quarterback in the NFL just by getting away from Adam Gase. Now, he has weapons in Tennessee also that he obviously never had in Miami. The Colts do not have that. But I think Adam Gase is really bad. I think there might be something there in Sam Darnold. And I personally, if I'm looking at this as a 1 or 2 year deal, regardless, right, as a 1 year, 2 year trial, which I believe you. I understand what you're saying. The Colts 100% thinks Carson Wentz is the guy of the future.
They have to, otherwise they way overpaid.
But what I'm saying is that it's obviously he is there for at least 2 years, obviously, right? And so I'm just viewing it as like Carson Wentz is 2 years to show the Colts he's right. Sam Darnold would essentially be the same thing. He would have a year or two to show the Colts that they are right.
No, I think that again, I would also rather take the lower risk gamble on seeing what Sam Darnold has left in the tank.
Colts, though, 100%.
But that's not the logic the Colts are putting into place
100%.
here. It's
Colts,
much more the logic that the Rams put into place with trading for Matt Stafford.
The Colts believe that he will be 2017 pre-injury Carson Wentz,
and that he's going to change what their ceiling is. And again, I don't know if that logic makes any sense at this point. I don't know. You're talking about Wentz as a reclamation project in the same vein as Sam Darnold. The Colts see him as being much more likely to hit the ceiling that we've seen. And in fairness, with Darnold, we never saw the ceiling. We just have his pre-draft scouting reports. And I don't know that that logic is going to hold for the Colts and Wentz. I don't even, the thing is, I don't hate the fit. I don't hate the logic of it, but they're both in draft compensation and in salary, unless they bail on salary so early that the draft compensation gets embarrassingly high as a cost, that eventually one of those things is going to bite them, unless you think he's going to be 2017 Carson Wentz, which I just don't think is reasonable.
Yeah, which they do clearly think he is. I think it's, again, I don't. You see this happen quite frequently in the NFL. I don't know why, though, any team, especially you would think people who work in the NFL would understand this better. The fact that the average NFL career is under 3 years. 3 years is a long time in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's been 3 years since Carson Wentz has been MVP, candidate Carson
Anything
Wentz.
close to that. It's been 3 years since he's been anywhere, and there has not been a blip where you say maybe that's the Carson Wentz that we saw back in 2017. Let's take a break. Whenever we come back, we'll see what liner Beards plays.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
Small business owners don't have the patience for nonsense, especially when it comes to their internet provider. They want the best services for the best price. Simply put, that's Spectrum Business. They give you great value, zero nonsense. Just call 833-919-2121. You'll get fast, reliable internet and phone with no contracts and no hidden fees, all for a price that could cut your bill in half. Spectrum Business. Call today, 833-919-2121.
When do you think about your insurance? Chances are it's when you're paying your bill or filing a claim. At Briar Payne Mead, we always think about your insurance. It's what we do. Buying a car, having a baby, building a home, starting a business. Then it's time to call BPM at 913-681-099 or visit us on the web at bpminsurance.com. Great service and extremely competitive rates from the top-rated companies. Briar Payne Mead, 913-681-099. That's 913-681-099.
At Mercedes-Benz of Kansas City, our executive loaner fleet is a cut above the norm, featuring an assortment of 2020 Mercedes-Benz models. Now combine that with 1.99% financing on most of our executive loaner cars, and you have a golden opportunity to make your next vehicle a Mercedes-Benz. Need more incentives? We need your trade-in. So come see your next car at Mercedes-Benz of Kansas City, 1/2 mile east of State Line on Highway 150 or online at mbofkc.com. With approved credit, see dealer for details.
You've heard Tom Shane on the radio, but have you actually visited Shane Company? If you're looking for a unique engagement ring that reflects your personal style, come see us. Not only do we have all the classics, but our in-house design team is constantly introducing beautiful new styles. For your center stone, you'll find all the traditional diamond shapes, as well as the trending shapes like oval, cushion, and princess cut. Another way to make the ring uniquely yours is to choose a colorful natural center stone. We're known for our vivid rubies and sapphires. Our sapphires come in over a dozen colors, like peach, lavender, and ice blue. Visit our store or go online where you can create and virtually try on any ring. With the largest selection of ring settings and loose stones, unlimited combinations and looks, at Shane Company, you can get your ring your way. We'll protect it for life, for free, and keep it sparkling like the day you said yes.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
At Central Bank of the Midwest, we are focused on building strong communities across Kansas City. I'm Bill Ferguson, President and CEO. Our strong roots began more than 100 years ago in the heart of the Midwest and continue today across 5 states and 67 communities. Central Bank of the Midwest brings you the best of both worlds, a strong community bank with the resources and technology to deliver a legendary banking experience. Central Bank of the Midwest. Strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
He can break every bone in his body and I'll be happy as long as it's not the back.
Cut that, Beards. Cut him saying Michael Porter Jr. could break every bone in his body and he'd be happy, and then just don't include the last part.
But the context.
Oh, context, please.
Yeah.
With Joshua Brisco.
He can break every bone in his body and I'll be happy.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Beards, did you misplace the liner of you trying to talk about basketball for 24 seconds?
No,
or...
I've still got it open.
Okay. So you're going to wait more than an hour to play the liner that was relevant 7 minutes into the show.
Yes.
I mean, that's a choice. That is a production choice that you've made.
I'm sticking by it.
For
I think somebody needs another vacation.
Yeah, you know what? Why don't you go to New York again? See what disease you bring back with you this time. Super spreader. Super spreader, Beards McFly. That's sort of a deep cut. Beards went to New York and then came back engaged, which was never fully, I've not fully let go. And because he didn't tell any of us. We found out, he didn't even text us after the fact. Lebo saw it on Facebook, and then Lebo told me and Rudy. But then Beards came back just sort of as COVID was sort of really hitting the fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Beards is patient zero. Maybe for all of America, actually, which doesn't really make sense with the timeline, but I'm running with it.
Makes perfect sense.
It's patient zero, which is also the number of Boston Celtics starting in the All-Star game. Ben Baldwin, I almost called him Bill Barnwell. You did that earlier.
I did.
I just almost did it just now.
Double B's.
Ben Baldwin tweeted out a poll question earlier in regards to the Carson Wentz trade. So what would you rather have, Carson Wentz or Jameis Winston, $20 million in cap space, a third-round pick, and a second-round pick?
Jameis Winston.
That could be a first-round pick. That goes back into the conversation. You want to talk about guys that, like, if you're trying to find a veteran to plug a hole, Jameis. You could trade for Sam Darnold.
Heck yeah.
Whatever. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Give me Jameis all. Oh, Fitzmagic.
They could have.
Fitzmagic or Jameis all day.
Would have been a blast. But the Colts think that Carson Wentz is gonna be the answer. It's not this outrageous draft capital risk.
No.
And that cap number gets kind of gross, kind of fast. But I also can't imagine it leading to any substantive success for them.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Do you follow Sports Radio 810 on social media? This is your reminder to give us a follow and hit that subscribe button on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Sports Radio 810. Follow along for breaking news as it happens, live coverage of press conferences, analysis and reporting from top local and national experts, fan videos, and on-the-ground coverage of your favorite local teams, as well as the best sporting events and athletes in the country. Turn on your notifications so that you never miss a beat, and follow the leader at Sports Radio 810.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Brian Pringle with Victory Ford at the Legends in KCK. Victory Ford is dedicated to one thing, serving you. Our staff are experts in providing you the knowledge needed to make the right decision on your next car or truck. Fantastic customer service doesn't end when the sale does. Our dealership also staffs a 5-star service center with the highest rated technicians and amenities. Visit us at the Legends Auto Plaza on the southeast corner of 435 and Parallel, or online at victoryfordkc.com. Victory Ford, where our first price is better than their last.
Is finding the clothes that you love in just the right fit and size an overwhelming task? Experience a new way to shop with Stitch Fix. Our experts hand-select pieces so you can get the ease of personal styling from the convenience of home. Every piece is curated just for you, for staying home or on the go in your unique style. With Stitch Fix, there's never any subscription required, and it's delivered right to your door. Get started today at StitchFix.com. Stitch Fix, your style delivered.
The Kansas City Comets are back in action this weekend for a 2-game series against the Dallas Sidekicks at Cable Dahmer Arena with playoff positioning on the line. Comets Arena Soccer is fast, furious, high-scoring action for the entire family. And all seats are socially distanced for fan safety this season. Get your tickets today for the Kansas City Comets weekend series against the Dallas Sidekicks coming this Friday night at 7 p.m. and Sunday afternoon at 5 p.m. by calling 888-9-COMETS or by visiting Ticketmaster.com.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Kansas City's favorite sports station. 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
This is Sports Center.
I'm Chad Ryder. Another quarterback on the move. The Eagles have agreed to trade Carson Wentz to the Colts. for a third-round pick in this year's draft and a conditional 2022 second-round pick that could turn into a first-rounder, reports ESPN's Adam Schefter and Chris Mortensen. Wentz will be reunited with his former offensive coordinator with Philly, now Indianapolis head coach Frank Reich. ESPN's Louis Riddick on Wentz going to the Colts.
Frank Reich understands what makes Carson tick, how he fell off, the kind of things he's going to need to do for him on a personal basis in order to get him to play at a high level, keep his confidence up. He does have a much better offensive philosophy and or system with which Carson will now be able to, operate under.
As for the Eagles, they plan to start Jalen Hurts at quarterback, but will bring in competition. Brooklyn star point guard Kyrie Irving will be available for tonight's game against the Lakers in Los Angeles. He missed Tuesday night's win at Phoenix with a back issue. Kevin Durant out for the game in L.A. with a strained hamstring. Kyrie and Durant both named starters for next month's All-Star game in Atlanta, joined in the East by Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Bradley Beal. West starters are LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard, Luka Doncic, and Nikola Jokic. One game in the NBA right now, halftime in Milwaukee. Bucks looking to avoid a fifth straight loss, but they're getting hammered right now by the Raptors, 58-41. In college basketball, upset alert, 20 seconds to go in the second half. Wichita State leads number 6 Houston 64-63. It's on ESPN2.
We're back on Friday, and one quarterback is just 13 months removed from the Super Bowl. But we'll tell you why his team might be ready for a huge change. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Also, Ben Jarvis Green Ellis being nicknamed the law firm is one of my favorite nicknames of all time.
You know what Derek Blaylock's nickname was?
No.
He didn't have one.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
For a couple months in there, people kept telling me, hey, college basketball's going on. Hey, college basketball season started. Hey, are you even paying attention right now? There's college basketball happening. And it just kind of was one in one ear, out the other for, all of that time. Pretty much until, I'll say, this week, maybe about halfway through last week, I realized, did you guys know there was college basketball going on this whole time? During football season. Why were they playing college basketball during football season? I'm hoping that Scott Chasen of 24/7 Sports, more specifically kansas.247sports.com, or you can go straight there, fog.net. I'm hoping Scott will explain really just sort of this scheduling mishap. Scott, why is it that KU basketball and really all college basketball started while the Chiefs were still actively playing NFL football?
Well, I'm going to ignore that question and instead tell you about something you unintentionally, hilariously just did, which is when you played the intro, I was wondering what intro was going to play because it's been forever since I've been on this show.
True.
Very recently, I started a conversation over DM. Someone reached out to me, a former Kansas City Chiefs running back. I was enjoying the conversation and learning about one of his children who is in 8th grade and is a football prospect. And we had a really great conversation. And I came away thinking, wow, what a nice man, what a wonderful man. And when the intro to this show started playing and we talked about Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, I remembered thinking, oh, yeah, I made fun of someone and basically said he was irrelevant. That's why he didn't have a nickname. I wonder who that was. And, Derek, if you happen to be listening to this because you see it on my Twitter, I do apologize.
Oh, no! Wow!
That's real, by the way. You can't make that up. This conversation that we had happened like a week ago. So not great, but, he's got a really talented son, though.
And seems like a very pleasant person. What's crazy was what was happening as you were telling that story, as I was thinking, all right, former Chiefs running backs with the son in 8th grade, I believe you said. All right, trying to take, now I wonder who that is. Didn't even register that we may have brought that all the way back home by accident. Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, scheduling, I don't know. They decided they wanted to do shooty hoops or whatever it's called.
Shooty hoops. No, that's jarring. Well, listen, you're the only one that's ever slandered the good name of Derek Blaylock on this show, so I'm not afraid.
I like Derek Blaylock. I thought Derek Blaylock, you may remember, he had 4 rushing touchdowns in a game against the Falcons. I mean, the dude was exceptional. It was one of the best games I ever remember watching, like, growing up. Pretty sure the Chiefs won, like, 56-10. So when we were talking, I was like, wow, this is exciting. This is great. Completely stored, I guess I just blocked out the part on your show from memory. And seriously, as that was unfolding, and you know what they called, and I was like, don't say Derek Blaylock. Like, please say any other running back. And it was like, you know what they called Derek Blaylock? And I was like, oh, no, I've done it again. I hate when this happens.
I think the only path forward for you is to get Derek Blaylock a retroactive nickname so that liner is simply no longer factually accurate and we're never allowed to play it.
And then I put it in my retired liners folder.
Yeah, that's right. We have a whole folder of liners that cannot be played for one reason or another. And if you can get Derek Blaylock a universally accepted nickname, we'll move that one over for you.
Wait, I have a better idea. Why don't we just redo this lineup, the liner right now?
Okay, sure.
And, let me come up with another running back really quick.
Yeah,
I've got it.
Pick one that might end up in your DMs in about, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years, whenever that was from. Okay, no, we're gonna go ahead and we'll pick up right here. 3. You're gonna go on 1, Scott. 3, 2, 1.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Now there's the part where you talk,
Scott. Now, Scott, you lead off that liner, actually.
Do I go first?
Yeah. It just starts. Do you know what they called Derek Blaylock? But now it's something else.
This
is no. You have to start with Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. You have to mention that you love it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right, sorry. You know
okay.
what? That's on me. That's all right. Tap my chest, hand up in the air. Go ahead, Beards.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I always think about Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, that former running back. Boy, I love his nickname. They called him the law firm. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. It sounds like a law firm, Scott.
Oh, that's hilarious. Hey, by the way, you know what they called Derek Blaylock? Oh, no, I did it again.
On Sports Radio 810, WHB.
And scene. You can just fade the music out, Beards. Yeah, all right, well, perfect. Listen, you almost had it. We'll try again next time we have you on. We'll try again.
I appreciate that.
Come up with another running back that has that you will spurn in some way. Boy, I hope he knows that liner exists. I guess I can DM Derek Blaylock. I mean, there's no rule that says I can't be like, hey, I know you've recently been in touch with a certain Scott Chasen. Here's what he said about you before he was a source, before you were a source to him. You think that would work?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You can reach out. He seems like a nice guy.
I'm going to follow Derek Blaylock.
For the record, I liked, have liked, do like, and will like Derek Blaylock. I think he's fantastic.
Just didn't have a nickname.
Not worthy of a nickname.
Just didn't have a nickname. That's all. I never had a nickname.
That's not true.
Yeah, no, I actually did have nicknames, but
well, rattle off some of your nicknames for yourself, and then I'll ask you a KU question, and we'll do it'll be the whole show. We'll do great.
I had the most boring nicknames ever. I think 2 come to mind. Actually 3. One was kind of funny. It was like a teaching thing. My dad and I were teaching a bunch of young people, and my dad pretended he didn't know who I was. That was great for the self-esteem. And the kids were like, no, it's Scott, your son. And he was like, Scott, your son. So that somehow became a nickname. In high school, a kid told me I looked like Todd. So I was like, oh, that's my nickname. So I went by Todd in one class randomly. That's not a joke. That's a real thing that happened. And then a coach that I had, I was a manager my senior year when I moved high schools. To this day, I am not sure if he ever knew my name was Scott Chasen because he called me Scotty Chase, which sounds like a nickname, but it's like a very specific thing.
Yeah.
And he gave me a book, Tim Tebow's book, and he wrote a nice little note for me. I really appreciate it. He's a very great man. The coach, that is.
Tim Tebow, you mean, yeah.
No, he wrote that, and I'm pretty sure he wrote Scotty Chase in the inscription. And I was like, that was the moment where I was like, like that's a lot of letters to go out of your way to write. So I don't know. I think those were probably the big 3.
I think that if you would have decided in that moment that your professional name was going to be Scotty Chase, I don't know by what order of magnitude, but I think you could only be more successful. Like, I think you would have been on the program today instead of on this show.
What about Todd Chasen?
Todd Chasen not as dynamic.
I do love the visual though of just you in class one day and them doing roll call, and just Scott Chasen, and then you just hear, I go by Todd.
Yeah, right. Please call me Todd.
Todd Chasen's an accountant, though. Todd Chasen
Yeah.
has a much more boring life. There is nothing exciting about it's actually all a spectrum, right? Scotty Chase is like what happened if I had found like cocaine in high school.
Yes.
Scott Chasen is the current variation of me.
Yes.
And like Todd Chasen has made a very nice life for himself.
Yep.
He got a couple of degrees, he settled down, he owns a house. It sounds like he has a very pleasant life.
Yeah.
And a Honda Accord.
Listen, as someone who has been shopping for a Honda Accord now for a couple of months, Beards, I don't really like how targeted that was. That felt hateful. I think you're right that there's a spectrum there, and Todd Chasen he goes back as an undercover cop to try to bust Scotty Chase in high school.
Yeah, Todd Chasen goes camping. But when they get out there, he's really not that comfortable.
Yes.
So he checks the family into a hotel.
I don't remember the name of the dad from Jimmy Neutron, but for me, it's now Todd Chasen.
What percent of people our age do you think do remember the name of the dad from Jimmy Neutron?
I'm looking it up. Hang on.
I bet his last name was Neutron and not Chasen. What was his first name though? I don't know. I still have the friends, but this was in the past. I was gonna say I had a friend. He's fine. But a friend of mine and his wife dressed up as the parents from Jimmy Neutron for Halloween, and he just walked around with like a carved duck, and it was incredible. It's still incredible to this day. I bet his name is Todd. Go ahead, Beards.
It is Hugh.
Ah!
Oh, I remember that actually. I'm shocked that I do remember that now that you said it.
If his name was Todd, it would have been... Here's the thing. We forgot his name, and that feels like the whole point. It's like how in Calvin and Hobbes, the mom and dad never have an actual name like in place. They're just mom and dad. That's Hugh and Todd are, they just kind of line up that same way.
Yeah, he was a little more exciting, a little flashier, but they're buddies.
Is Todd short for something? It feels like Todd is like Rick. It's short for Richard.
Toddathan?
Is
Toddley?
Toddley? Probably not.
Todsworth was the name that came to mind.
That's the grandpa. Not. That's the grandpa mushroom in Mario. Todsworth.
Yeah, I was gonna say. To be clear, it's not. That name definitely popped into my head. I was like, oh yeah, it could be that.
The name originated from Middle English, where it means fox.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
There aren't a ton of famous Todds. I'm on famousbirthdays.com, which has gotten me through a couple of shows now. I'm still talking, Beards, so if I could just finish my sentence, and then you can go.
Todd Blackledge.
There's Todd from The Fox and the Hound. Who was the fox?
Todd.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's derived from the word fox. Is that true?
Yeah.
Todd Gurley, the rare running back Todd.
Todd Blackledge.
Todd Blackledge. And really, it's a pretty loose list of Todds. Todd Helton.
Wasn't there a Todd on Breaking Bad?
Yes.
Oh, Todd Haley. How could we forget Todd Haley? Number 37 on famousbirthdays.com for people named Todd. Todd Bowles, also in sports.
Now, do they have to be a Todd, or can they be a Todsworth?
Let's see if I can find most famous Toddsworths. Hold on.
Is there a Toddsworth?
There's at least one.
I'm of course joking.
There's at least one. Gonna find one eventually. There is a DJ named Toddsworth. I found his Facebook fan page. There is no information, and it just says Toddsworth DJ in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I'd like to imagine that guy and DJ Khaled were at a DJ naming convention together, and they were both fighting over Toddsworth. And then finally, DJ Khaled was like, "All right, I'll take Khaled, whatever." And then that guy just regrets it so much.
There is an active Twitter account at Mr. Toddsworth. Doesn't seem to be anyone particularly famous. Probably not their given name, but they're running with it. This has been. I was worried that we weren't gonna have sort of just a fun, quippy way to sort of kick off the segment. So I was gonna just throw it to you and let you kind of decide where we went. And now we've ended up on Toddsworth, and I feel like I really had nothing to worry about.
Yeah. That's why you should have me on way more often.
We really should, and that was sort of like the whole bit because we talked to Nick Schwert last week, And I did have a lot of guilt about having Nick on before having you on in kind of this post-Chiefs week world. The truth of the matter is that I don't respect Nick's time nearly as much as I respect yours. I know Nick is sort of just a talking head. I know you're a professional, like Todd Chasen.
Hopefully this doesn't offend you, as I accidentally no-sell a joke that was hilarious. I actually was on Nick's show earlier today too, so I guess for people who want a little more structure in their sports conversation, that's an option.
Yeah, the structured discipline of Nick Schwerdt is the reason that I tune into Rock Chalk Sports Talk every day.
I thought you'd appreciate that. I was glad you picked up on that because I was legitimately worried. I was like, that kind of sounds mean if you don't get the joke.
No.
But I'm glad you picked up on it.
Yeah, it's basically like listening to the Max Kellerman show. It's just sports topic after sports topic. Very straight edge.
We spent 20 minutes once with Nick creating a reality TV show based around farm animals.
That's true. We called, I believe, and it was hosted by Norman McDonald.
Yes.
That's the other thing that I remember.
Norman McDonald's.
I think it's called I think it was called Norm McDonald Has a Farm.
Yes, Norm McDonald Has a Farm. Yes. Yes.
He was either just getting COVID or was just getting on the other side of COVID.
He was just on the other side of it.
He was
Norm
not far
McDonald
enough.
or Nick?
No.
Nick.
We were talking about
maybe Norm McDonald also.
That's true.
But Nick.
We were talking to Nick. Nick was just on the other side of COVID, but not nearly far enough because of how our conversation went. But the show concept ended up being Norm McDonald Has a Farm, a reality TV show for animals.
You know what Norm McDonald is kind of the classic example of? He's like, I have never seen a better case of a person who endorses is so excellent, but it's like that principle that if you get promoted too high, like your world comes crashing down. Because like everyone thinks Norm McDonald is funny, but then you like actually watch like a little bit too much of him and you're like, I don't know about this. He had a sports show. And, like, it was legitimately okay. I watched an episode, and then I watched another episode, and I was like, oh, no, this is just the same thing every single week. It's not going to be funny.
Did he have a short stint on Monday Night Football?
No, you're thinking of the other, what was his name? He was also a Saturday Night Live weekend update anchor. He is a comedian. I'll figure it out in a second.
I really thought Norm McDonald...
Another SNL comedian was on...
But he was so like Norm McDonald, and I'm trying to remember the guy's name now. They did the weekend update. Dennis Miller. Dennis Miller.
That's absolutely. Yes. I was absolutely thinking of Dennis Miller.
I can't remember. Dennis Miller either replaced Norm McDonald or Norm McDonald replaced him on the weekend update. And then Dennis Miller like had a show on HBO, and then was for 1 year was Monday Night Football analyst.
Other than whenever the joke is that Norm McDonald's last name is the same last name as Old McDonald, I think you could swap Norm McDonald and Dennis Miller in to everything else we've said this segment and in most cases, and I'm not sure I would notice.
That's probably true.
That was really the joke that founded the show, though, from the sound of things.
No, honestly, somehow, I don't remember how, it ended up being the payoff by accident. Like, it was, we had the show planned, like, well, who's hosting it? Norm McDonald, E-I-E-I-O, bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, you want to talk about payoff, by the way. You need to make sure, and don't do this next week because it'll be suspicious, but you need to wait like 10, 12, 15, 16, 17, a bunch of weeks. I was trying to come up with bigger numbers, and then I started counting by one and realized it would probably take a while to get to a much bigger number. But what you need to remember that there was a show when you went on Nick's show, and you had to sneeze, and you never did. And you can never lose sight of that because I'm talking like you're like 60 whatever, and he's still got his show, you've still got yours, and then you just sneeze and break out laughing, and he will be so confused.
I like that. I like that a lot. I thought you were going to tell me about the time that I was on his show, and I just started taking shots at boomers, and it was something Nintendo Switch related. I don't remember why, but it was the only time I feel like I've made Nick as uncomfortable on his show as he has made me on this one, which is important to me.
Dennis Miller beat out Rush Limbaugh for the Monday Night Football gig.
So let's talk about KU basketball, Scott, right this second. Let's talk about KU basketball starting right now, ideally starting about 15 seconds ago. As good a segue as we're going to possibly get. I have made it a joke out of like, oh, college basketball started, but also it has been so back burner for me throughout football season, just to the point of like, know what's happening, have a general feel for how everything's going, watching a good number of the games, but the Chiefs are running back to another Super Bowl, so that's priority one, and that's pretty much 3 hours of radio every night. What do you think that for other people that have been in a similar headspace, what have people missed about this Kansas season, specifically kind of in that middle chunk where there were some consecutive losses, there were some rough stretches, and a lot of us were waiting for the next Chiefs game?
Yeah, for those people, they're honestly kind of joining at the right time, because I think a lot of people who have probably followed college basketball a little bit closer have kind of fallen victim to their own biases just over the way the season has gone. Kansas started off so well, even though Kentucky has, actually gone into a tailspin since. Beating Kentucky on a neutral floor was a big deal. That's always a tough game, especially early in the year. Obviously, they didn't beat, Jayhawks didn't beat Gonzaga. They came back. They get a good win over Creighton. They win at Texas Tech, which looks like a great win. They beat Oklahoma. They curb stomped West Virginia before Oscar Tshiebwe left that team. So Kansas was ranked, I believe, as high as number 3, and pretty legitimately looked that part. Then they went through the losing stretch. They lost 5 straight games on the road. They didn't have the cupcakes in between to gain some confidence back or break a losing skid. And, by the way, Kansas has lost 3 in a row or 3 out of 5 before and still gone on to be a 1 or a 2 seed. So, that happens in college basketball, but everything's a little more magnified this year. The schedule is more compact. You don't have as many cupcakes, non-conference games. You only play like 8 instead of 14 or whatever. I don't have the exact number, but it's all smaller and more magnified. So like you went from one side of the spectrum, Kansas being ranked 3rd, to the other, where Kansas was somehow unranked, which I say somehow because a lot of people, including Bill Self, said Kansas deserved to be unranked. Kansas played an Oklahoma State team as its first game as an unranked opponent. It was like a 7-point favorite. And so that tells you everything you need to know about which one of those teams. By the way, Oklahoma State was ranked 23rd. Like, which one of those teams was actually a top 25 caliber team? So that's where I stand on Kansas. There are 2 elite teams in college basketball in Gonzaga and Baylor. Iowa is super interesting because they are the best offensive team in the country, but they do not defend anyone. And then there are like 3 or 4 really interesting teams after that, your Villanovas, your Houstons. Then it's everyone else. So there's like a top tier of 2, then like 3 to 4 after that, and then everyone. And Kansas is in that everyone that can beat anyone kind of area, and they'll get their chance to prove it. The next 3 games are probably the biggest of the year and will go a long way into determining, if they're going to be as high as a 3 seed potentially, or as low as a 7 or an 8 seed, maybe even a 9.
Well, yeah, and so this next 3-game stretch, it for me gets even more interesting whenever, and you wrote about this, I saw up on fog.net, people can go check it out, that, I mean, they had this little cupcake stretch where they get the extremely rare back-to-back against Iowa State, home and on the road, and handled business both of those games, and then throttled K-State in a game that really just pinnacle of the sport of basketball, I would argue. But they get through those games, and they did the thing that they needed to do. I mean, there was some talk about this before that stretch of games that, like, hey, obviously beating Oklahoma State was a quality, legit win. But, hey, go out there and blow out these cupcakes, 3 games in a row, and then see where that sets you up for these 3 games at the end of the year that's going to determine, like you said, the seeding and whatnot. Whenever you look ahead to specifically Texas Tech, but then the Texas and Baylor games after that, what are you looking for in those 3 games? How much will that determine what you actually believe this team to be?
Yeah, I mean, if Kansas is a legitimate contender for an Elite 8 Final Four postseason run, they have to go at least 2-1. And I wouldn't say they have to win any particular 2 of those games. I mean, Texas is playing a lot worse as of late. I think that's what happens when coaching catches up to you. A lot of these teams weren't as good at the beginning of the season because they were working in new pieces and new talent. Well, Texas was, but Texas also returns like its top 10 players. So that's why Texas was really, really good to start the year, whereas these other teams, a lot of them have had to replace a lot of pieces and figure it out. And that's why you're seeing a lot of teams start to kind of hit a stride. Now, Kansas was good early in the year with some new pieces, kind of hit that bump. But now, again, you're seeing, Bill Self change the defense and find ways to make Kansas better and better. Whereas a team like Texas, which, not to dog on Shaka Smart, but this is, Shaka Smart is the coach of Texas, and they've underperformed consistently with talent every single year he's been there. He's only been out of the first week in the NCAA tournament one time. And if his contract wasn't, Texas with a dollar sign in front of it, he would have been fired already. So, I think that's part of the reason why there's probably some belief that, Kansas might be a little bit better than its very fine record. I mean, they're 10-5 or, whatever it is. So it's not a horrible slate given how loaded the Big 12 is. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, you've got 3 games. Texas Tech is very good. You beat them at home. You go play Texas, see what happens. And then, you get to test yourself against Baylor. But even then, Baylor has had so many games canceled and postponed and for all, any number of reasons. So, it'll be tricky. I think the most interesting thing is Kansas gets like 10 days off at the end of the regular season if they don't have any games missed before the Big 12 tournament. And Bill Self said tonight on his Hawk Talk show that, they're thinking about maybe they'd schedule someone, maybe they wouldn't. Who would that be? Would it be a good team? Would it be a bad team? Kind of sounds like he would actually want it to be a decent team. So, I'm intrigued by that. I just think there's so much more to learn about Kansas. But what I know is Kansas isn't bad. Mm-hmm. Kansas was a team with a lot of quality wins, a lot of quality losses, and somewhere in between being ranked 3 and being unranked, that's where Kansas is.
We mentioned having Nick Schwert on earlier, and one thing that he brought up last time that I thought was really interesting that I'd love to get your perspective on is how this season has been in large part about KU finding what its identity is. I'm guessing he actually stole this take from you because it was very eloquent for a Nick take. We had this conversation at the very beginning of the year where, the questions you would ask to Bill Self about David McCormick and what does he need to be and who's going to lead this team in scoring and who's going to be this team's most important player and their best player and all of that. We've had this ebb and flow where I feel like the standards have moved, the identity of this team has moved a little bit, or at the very least, it hasn't fully found it. Expectations for guys like Marcus Garrett have seemed to evolve. What do you make of that sort of thesis statement from Nick, and then where Kansas has gone, and ultimately where they've left off at the end of this year in terms of what this team actually is?
Yeah, I mean, there's a quote. I don't know who said it, but it's, like the more things change, the more they stay the same. That might not even be a quote. That might just be from a movie or something.
It was President Benjamin Franklin.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, it really was.
Well, yeah, okay. So, interesting. I don't even remember where I was going with that because I got so sidetracked by you telling me. No, I got it. Okay. Beginning of the year, before the season, I did a piece where I was predicting Kansas's leading scorers. And I did this throughout the course of the preseason camp too. Because, we get more information, we get quotes, we get things, and that colors your opinion. But the very first time I did it, I predicted Ochai Agbaji would lead the team in scoring and David McCormick would be second, or he was my second pick to lead the team. And what's funny is that's what it is. And, I was also interested in this, and I talked about this with Nick at the time, but, for all this talk about Kansas has to find its rotation and when's it going to settle into that, if you had asked me, based off the information that we had at the beginning of the year, what the rotation would be, I would have given you it exactly what it is now, with the difference that Tyon Grant-Foster is playing a lot less than I thought he would. But that also makes sense because, again, they didn't have the same preseason, non-conference acclimation period. And so, it makes sense. Things really don't change that much. But to your point, and to, this whole conversation, I guess to Nick's point, this team has gone through so many different iterations because David McCormick was horrible to start the year in his first few games. He's been arguably the team's best player for the last, 3, 4, 5 weeks. And, Jaylen Wilson, who was the team's best player, he started struggling. Ochai Agbaji's shooting has struggled. Christian Brown has been inconsistent. So I think they are what they are. I think they're a team of a lot of good wings who can really get after you defensively when they're turned up, who need at times David McCormick to take pressure off the shooting, and at times need the shooting to take the pressure off David McCormick. I think the question becomes when or how can they identify what part of the game is working in-game, make those adjustments to play that way, because they've done that at times this year. David McCormick has taken over late when he has it going, or vice versa. They've gone away from him when he hasn't. But, I think this is just a team of pieces that its identity is going to be, out-chemistrying, outsmarting, not quite executing because it's not a great execution team, but, maybe knowing what its pieces are and finding a way to fit them together better than most. I don't know that that's a championship, style or way of playing, but it does tell you they at least have the potential to, really beat some talented teams when they, figure out what they have going and play to it.
The phrase was apparently coined by French writer Jean-Baptiste Alphonse Carr. It was in French originally and then has been translated too loosely. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Did you lie, or did you think you knew the answer to that question?
No, I lied because I said President Benjamin Franklin, and I was not sure if you caught why that might have been a red flag. And to be honest, I'm still not sure.
President. I didn't hear the word president. I didn't hear the word president. I thought you were just inserting a fact, and I was like, wow, that's actually interesting. And then I thought about it for a second, realized I was on the radio, and was like, oh, I need to continue speaking.
I have to answer the question here, legally speaking. Yeah, I understand. No, is that President Alexander Hamilton?
Second best president of all time.
Yeah, top 2 presidents for sure. What do you? So this is very big picture, and so you can make it as big picture or as granular as you want. But what would you make of the job that Bill Self has done over the course of this year? Then, because figuring out what it takes to get David McCormick to be now maybe this team's best player in stretches after the start that he had, and figuring out that this is a team that's just going to be him and a bunch of shooters that may or may not be able to shoot at that given time. Like, what with the fact that this is not the level of blue chip talent that we're used to seeing from KU, and also acknowledging that they're more talented than an enormous majority of college basketball teams. What kind of job do you think he's done this year?
This is probably the least interesting answer I can give, but he's been at Kansas 18 seasons, and this is probably like his 9th best coaching job. I don't think it's especially bad. I don't think it's especially, incredible, but, at the same time, I'm sympathetic to a lot of coaches who have had to work in new pieces, mostly because, I think people have discounted, or maybe they haven't, maybe it's just not talked about enough, the mental health side of things for players, really being stuck inside, isolated, and then for a lot of them having to adapt to new situations, especially young players, without the benefit of being able to go see family or, have people at games that can support them. And, I think about it, how big a deal it was for Christmas that, Bill Self said, hey, they're going to let the players see their families. And he acknowledged, he was like, this is not the safest decision, but mental health-wise, they got to have something, they got to be able to look forward to something. And one player, David McCormick didn't even go home because he didn't feel like it was a safe situation because of maybe a condition or something had back home, that he was afraid to put himself in that situation. So I think it's been very tricky. I think you've seen Bill Self probably enjoy coaching less than he ever has. I think he's actually been pretty open about that, just because there are so many frustrations and so many things that, make it hard, make it difficult. And so, I think Bill Self has done an underrated coaching job from the perspective of he didn't really know what he had in Jaylen Wilson. A lot of teams didn't know what they had in anyone because you show up after summer and you haven't, seen your players, basically. And he immediately kind of changed everything to really feature him. Jaylen Wilson didn't start the second game of the season. So that tells you that they really didn't know his capability. They saw him playing well. They went to him. They scrapped the plan. David McCormick wasn't playing well. They went away from him. Now he is playing well. They've gone to him more. Even this last K-State game, as long as I've watched Kansas, which, even goes back before my time covering the team, even before my time going to KU, the first possession of the game is almost always a post touch, some misdirection to get the ball inside and a layup. And the Kansas State game was the first game I remember in a long time where they didn't do that. They ran a lob play that was like the big man post touch was actually the misdirection. And I thought it was so interesting that, that's an adjustment they're making. So I think Bill Self's done a lot of good things. At the same time, he's also been a little bit stubborn, I think, at times with his lineups, the way he sees people. But he's also had an incomplete roster because, Bryce Thompson, the 5-star freshman on the team, is, he had a back injury, then he broke a finger, so he hasn't played a ton. So I just think it's a mix. I think it's a big mix of some good stuff, some bad stuff, and, in the end, it'll probably just end up being a weird season for them. But, who knows? If they go on a run in the postseason, I think a lot of people will say his ability to get this team to come together without, that traditional one guy on the roster who's like a standout, superstar freshman with NBA potential, I think that would look really good for him.
Last thing that you can take wherever you want. What's the most interesting thing about this team, either from this point forward or that's already happened this season, that you don't feel like has gotten enough attention, that we haven't spent enough time talking about, that just interests you for any particular reason?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Which is what I say whenever I don't have a great answer.
It's when you're stalling, and it's also because it could be a lazy question. And honestly, what it is I just trust your gauge for what's interesting about KU even more than I trust my own. So but it also puts you in a bad spot because boy, it's vague.
Yeah, well, a couple things come to mind. The first is that if you chop like the first 4 games of the season away, which you can't do, but if you did, KU fans would feel so much differently about David McCormick. I'm not saying they'd love him. I'm not saying he'd be their favorite player. But boy, would they feel differently about him, and boy, would they feel differently about Jaylen Wilson. You know, the 2 big games Jaylen Wilson had against Kentucky and Creighton really, elevated his stock, and the horrible start McCormick had against some very good teams. He starts the year against Gonzaga, one of the best big men in the country, and the second game is against a team that goes 5 guards. So, he's a guy who had about as hard as matchups to start the year as anyone. And then again, he's played so well for a long time and people still don't believe it. And it's like they don't believe it because of the way he started the year. I'm not saying he's dope or he's great or anything like that, but I do think he's become a very, very good player. And at the very least, he has become not the issue. Kansas isn't losing games because of David McCormick. Kansas is losing games because the shooters aren't making shots or the defense isn't up to, par, or the guards have a bunch of breakdowns, or, they're losing games for a number of different reasons, but he really, he's played well and they've lost. He's also played poorly and they've won. I see very little correlation between him other than, he has the capability to elevate the team's play when he's at his best. So I think that would be one. And number 2 is Jaylen Wilson, because Jaylen Wilson really hit that freshman wall similar to Ochai Agbaji in his kind of redshirt freshman year when he was redshirting and then had the redshirt pulled. But the difference is, after a few games, Jaylen Wilson is back. And he had 4 straight double-doubles, I believe, going into the last game when he had 11 and 9. He becomes a really interesting piece for Kansas, because if you get Wilson and McCormick playing well together, then really all you need is someone making 3-point shots with them, and Kansas goes to another level. So not saying Kansas is going to win its next 3. I'm also not sure they might lose their next 3, but for a team this late in the year, I truly believe these next 3 games are going to define, who Kansas is, how good Kansas is, and maybe what expectations will be like going into the postseason.
So did you see what I did, where I jumped in and I was sort of self-deprecating and stalled a little bit while you came up with an answer, and then you brought the absolute heat with that answer after the stalling? That's just a team game, right? That's a team sport. That's teamwork, and I feel like we nailed it.
Yep, and that's why they call you Derek Blaylock. I'm just kidding. It makes no sense whatsoever.
We'll figure out a nickname for him next time. Scott, always going to talk to you. We'll talk to you again much more recently than we had last time. And, enjoy this college basketball season that kicked off last night.
Thanks. Always glad to bully you into having me back on.
I mean, if the shoe fits. Scott Chasen of Fog.net, 24/7 Sports. I got to... Hold on, Beards. There you go. I had the buttons finally. Follow him on Twitter at Chasen Scott. Check out Fog.net. 24/7 Sports' KU site. Scott runs that whole deal and is excellent there. And he hung up on Beards. Now Beards is sad. Sorry, Beards. It was a real Derek Blaylock move of him. That's incredible. Let's take a break. Whenever we come back, we'll talk about giving Derek Blaylock a new nickname or something else. That's next.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
February marks the final month of the Mercedes-Benz Certified Pre-Owned event at Aristocrat Motors. It's your opportunity to select your certified pre-owned Mercedes from our large selection and enjoy unlimited confidence with the unlimited mileage warranty combined with 2 payments on most models when financed with Mercedes-Benz Financial. Pick out yours today at Aristocrat Motors, I-35 and Shawnee Mission Parkway, or online at aristocratmotors.com. Offer ends February 28, 2021. MBFS offered with approved credit.
Hey, it's Lebo here for CertaPro Painters. Now is a great time to update your home. Whether it's a new look inside or some exterior protection for this harsh KC climate, there's no better place to go than CertaPro. You can give them a call at 1-800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com to schedule your free estimate. Now, they have knocked it out of the park every time I've used them. Inside my home or outside where my paint job still looks great. Their attention to detail is outstanding, from the estimate through the prep work, the job itself, and especially on cleanup. Worry-free all the way. Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated, so they're local business owners right here in our community. They do it all. Premier quality products with competitive pricing, plus a great warranty. So what are you waiting for? Give them a call right now at 1-800-GO-CERTA. That's 1-800-GO-CERTA. Experience the CertaPro painter's difference for yourself. They don't consider the job finished until you're completely satisfied. It's CertaPro painters, proven and trusted experts in painting.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm attorney Mike DePasquale. After a car wreck, the last thing you want to do is trust the insurance company. These insurance companies try to rip off good people every single day. My law firm won't let you get ripped off. We'll fight to get you all the money you deserve, and you don't pay us a dime unless we win your case. If you've been hurt, call me. I've got this.
Mike's got this. All you need to know, 816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
This is your 30-day warning.
Deep three, ring it up! It is good! As time expires,
From ruin to redemption, the Virginia Cavaliers. Chalmers, 4-3 and a tie. He got it! He got it!
March Madness, the Final Four, and National Championship are all on America's largest all-sports radio station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Car enthusiasts, looking for the best place to store and show off your car? Check out the KC Underground, Kansas City's car collection. KC Underground is part of the Kansas City Automotive Museum and provides a safe place to store your vehicle with 24-hour monitoring while sharing its history. Call today to reserve a spot underground for your car. Use the promo code 810 and you'll receive a 10% discount. Go to theksunderground.com or call 816-492-7147 and mention 810-WHB. If you can see the skyline, the KC Underground is just moments away.
Don't let the cold weather keep you from getting your work done outside. At Vanderbilt's, they have all the gear you need to keep you comfortable in the great outdoors. Insulated jackets and bibs from Carhartt and Byrne. Neoprene boots from Boggs and Dry Shot. Great layering pieces like Brawny and Western flannel, fleece, and sweatshirts, as well as stocking caps, gloves, and insulated socks. Vanderbilt's, keeping you warm for the last 45 years, with locations in Lawrence, Topeka, and Wamego.
Hi, this is Justin Cole, Private Wealth Manager at Creative Planning. Over the last few years, we have grown to one of the largest nationally recognized wealth management firms in the country. While we are proud of our success, we are most proud of our Kansas City roots. We were founded in Kansas City and remain headquartered here because there's no place we'd rather be. We are Kansas City strong. Thank you, Kansas City, and thank you to our clients. If you're not a client, we invite you to reach out for a free, no-obligation financial review. You can find us at creativeplanning.com or by calling 913-338-2727.
A KC tradition since 1957, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef, which has been proven to be naturally more tender and flavorful than other brands. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. This process provides a wonderful aroma and delicious flavor that cannot be duplicated by any other cooking method. Hereford House, Leawood, Independence, Shawnee, and Zona Rosa.
Hi, Chris Shakes from Victory Chevrolet of Smithfield. It's hard to believe that in 6 short years, our Victory family of dealerships has become the fastest growing auto group in the Kansas City area. A huge thank you to our awesome and loyal customers. Our mission at Victory has always been the same, providing the most transparent and fun customer experience anywhere. Looking for a fantastic truck deal? Check out our January Silverado sale. We're taking up to $12,000 off a new half-ton Silverado crew cab. Visit us today at VictoryChevyKC.com. Chevrolet, find new roads. And remember, Victory, we sell them all.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
I love the idea of having a lottery tournament where teams are competing for draft picks, basically.
With Joshua Brisco.
I would really watch that.
It would be more watched than whatever round of the playoffs it was going up against, as long as it wasn't the finals. I mean, like let's say you got a boring Eastern and Western Conference final, but you've got Memphis versus New Orleans.
No.
You're not
You're missing the team here.
Okay.
A LeBron James, Lakers
Holy
team.
bleep!
Oh, man.
Going up against whoever.
Devin Booker.
Yeah, Devin Booker's sons for the rights
Wait,
to
Devin
Zion.
Booker has sons already? I know. Sorry.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
This would be the segment that we could have had a very reasonable NBA conversation about, you know, the bad players in the Celtics not being all-stars. But we really
listen,
jacked it all up earlier.
hasn't been that good, but I wasn't going to say he was an all-star.
We can take a few comments at the moment also. I don't believe we've gotten our custom emotes through Twitch yet. I don't know how long that's supposed to take.
Yeah, I do not see them.
They're just definitely pending, and so they will be hopefully around before too terribly long. I'm very excited for those to get there whenever they do. Brad commented towards the beginning of the show, "You guys are awesome. Only way I get through the night. Thank you guys. Plus, you guys know your crap." Thank you, Brad. It's a very nice comment that I'm just so unused to seeing on Facebook.
I don't know how you can listen to the first hour of the show and
It
think
was-
that we know what we're talking about.
It was before the first segment really got going
True,
down the
good
rabbit
point.
hole that it did. So maybe Brad has revoked his compliment, but I
Good
really
point.
appreciated it. So that was nice. Also, somebody on Facebook whose name I don't have, but I think Beards responded to their comments. Maybe they can tell me. Maybe Beards can tell me. Christopher asked, "What's the chicken place you guys, mainly Beards, are always talking about? I moved recently back to Kansas City, and I wanted to try it." I'm going to say this here as a radio show that does not have a chicken sponsor.
But damn it, we need one.
And listen, there are a handful of chicken places that and Slim's brought us a big buffet of food one day.
I missed that.
And it was wonderful. And so I am happy to give free love to Slim Chickens on this one. Because they're excellent. The food's incredible. And they've
I had it for lunch today.
Oh God, I would destroy some Slim Chickens
And
right
also,
now.
those chocolate chip cookies are very good.
Oh,
It was so good today. I made the right choice.
I would just mess up some.
First time
some
you made the right
Slims.
choice today.
One that counted.
Here's the thing, though, and this is I'm happy to continue preaching this gospel. Slim Chickens is the goal, and this is why also I'm even like I'm gonna bring in some names we haven't brought up recently because we really there. If someday we are sponsored by a chicken place and it's not necessarily one of the ones you've heard us rage about, the love is still going to be absolutely genuine. I had Popeyes last night. Sandwich is unbelievable. We don't talk about Zaxby's as often here. They've got some the sandwich on the Texas toast with the buffalo and ranch on it.
Yeah, I forget what it's called, but
I do
that's
too.
always my go-to.
That sandwich is unreal. They have a
Yeah.
bunch of excellent sides. Raising Cane's has like 3 items, but they're all perfect.
Yep.
They're all perfect at the thing that they do. The
There's-
sauce is great. The fries are great. The chicken's great.
The toast. I say that to
toast
me, the
might
toast
be
is
God
like
tier.
their that like the cane sauce is great. The chicken is great.
Yeah.
The toast is just.
I think it's the best
it's,
toast.
It's the best. Like if we're creating like
fast
the
food toast.
perfect chicken place, it's Cane's
Well,
toast.
Now that you say that, I think we've done this before.
Probably 5 times.
Yep.
We'll talk about the Royals with David Lesky in 10 minutes. Beards, go ahead and
Yep,
get the
I'm getting it.
go ahead and get the music.
I'm getting it.
But
I need to just make this and put it into the system,
But
so
I'll-
that I don't have to search through my folder.
that's fine. I'll keep talking.
Yeah.
I'll stall for you. For me, Slims is my all-around #1 overall
Yep.
draft pick or whatever. In terms of individual breakdowns of several different things, though, it's all good, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's all so good. We're gonna have to decide here
I
what
really
are our
like-
categories gonna be.
Slim's new box that they the chicken comes in.
Like the literal box.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
actual
it is
box.
great.
It's a good box.
I'm gonna say we gotta go unanimous here because if we is that music a little loud to anybody?
Yeah,
It was
just
a little loud. I was slowly fading it down. We're
Just a
good
little
now.
loud.
What are our
Just a little.
categories gonna be?
Chicken.
We go, well, hold on. We go strips.
Yeah, I think.
By the way,
strips,
also
yeah.
strips chicken in Olathe, really good.
I've only had it once, but it was pretty decent.
Strips, fries, sandwich, sauce, toast, Dessert?
Sure.
I've actually never. I don't know if I've ever had dessert from any of the chicken places.
And
I
then
don't know if
what about
Cane's does.
I don't think that they do. What about like a wild card item? I'm gonna add a flex.
Okay, this works.
That could just be anything that fits there. Do we need to do a signature? Do we need to do a drink? Do we need to have a drink slot that's basically like our kicker? I'm gonna do a drink slot.
Sure, go ahead.
And we're all gonna just have to decide.
I mean, I've only
what
ever got like just Dr. Pepper from all of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll save this one then. We've got all the ones you just mentioned. Did not mention Chick-fil-A, but they're a titan in the industry. KFC did not mention, but they're also an industry leader.
They are maybe the most creative of the chicken places where like
KFC?
Because KFC at one time literally had a chicken sandwich where the buns were chicken.
That's a great point.
Like KFC comes out, like KFC comes out with like,
or what was that called?
Like I don't like again. I'm not, and it's not even necessarily that
The
any
double
of them
down.
are good. Yeah,
That's
I
what it
think,
was.
but they come out with the most like
The
creative
Heartstopper.
stuff where you're like, why would you think of this? And also, I have to have it.
Every once in a while.
And then you suffer a heart attack. You know, it doesn't kill you,
but it comes close.
But you know,
every once in a while, one of the blazed out Taco Bell chefs will accidentally walk into the wrong door at the KFC Taco Bell. He'll wander back into the KFC kitchen, and then all of a sudden, you've got chicken buns around some bacon.
Yeah.
I'm willing to say.
I remember having that, and oh man,
I did not try it.
I had.
I bet it was delicious.
The one that I had was enough like cholesterol for a year, and so it's like it was to me. It was a one time only thing. Like I don't even know if it should be like by law you should only be allowed to have it once.
I've also got sauces. I forgot to write down
great.
sauces in the
Yes.
original list. I want to try to go for the easiest shots here.
Yeah.
I worked at Chick-fil-A. The views of Chick-fil-A do not necessarily represent the views of Joshua Brisco on Twitter at JB Brisco. But I worked at Chick-fil-A for a while. I ate a lot of Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A's got some bangers. The spicy chicken sandwich from Popeyes has overtaken Chick-fil-A for me.
Yeah.
Do we feel okay about the
it's-
Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich
So-
being our sandwich of choice?
I'm guessing Beers is also in this boat. I've actually still never
haven't
had
had
it.
it? God,
but
it's so good.
I'm confident in saying that it is the best chicken sandwich.
If you guys don't wanna put up a fight, I'm
people
gonna
were
push for it.
literally stabbed for it. Like no other chicken sandwich in the history of chicken sandwiches have people been stabbed for over
The
it.
non-spicy also incredible. There's just something about it. We don't have that much time, so I'm gonna keep it moving. How do you feel about fries? Who's our fries leader from the chicken? The chicken place fries leader.
Is it Cane's? Just because they're the most consistently good. Like I had Slims today. Their fries were excellent today. They were really good. Some days they're not as good. Cane's though usually pretty consistently an 8.
I like Chick-fil-A's waffle fries.
Oh man, I was afraid you were gonna say that. You know whose fries I enjoyed last night? Popeyes' fries are actually quite good, my friends.
They're not bad.
They're also quite good.
It's been a long time since I've had them.
The thing about Cane's is it's pretty much a straight shot, kind of up and down. Look, put a pin in it. Where are we at on strips right now?
I've only had it once. I don't remember it that well.
No, the chicken strips.
Oh,
like just yeah.
If I say boom, pick a chicken strip.
Slims.
Okay. I'm willing to go Slim's chicken strips, Cane's fries.
Okay.
It's a 2-1 vote on fries, I guess. I'm fine with it, and we're also gonna run out of time. Toast is Cane's, yes, unanimously.
Yeah.
What about sauce?
Oh, Slims.
Slims.
This has to be Slim's,
Yes.
right? Chick-fil-A sauce is outrageously good, but
Yeah.
the
Cane sauce is great.
there's a selection, and they're all
Zaxby
choice.
actually has my favorite of like that sauce type, right? Because Chick-fil-A's cane sauce, Zaxby sauce are like they're all roughly the same, but Slim's has just got a billion of them.
I do
and they're all
remember
great.
the first time I introduced you, Josh, to Slims was when we were working here one day, and I had gone to get it.
Yes.
And I brought it back. I think I brought you an order back or whatever. And I was like,
Maybe.
here, have this. And I watched you dunked it in the barbecue sauce.
Oh, the
took a
spicy
bite,
barbecue sauce is
you
so good.
paused,
The Cayenne Ranch.
and
Oh,
went,
they're so good.
oh.
Yeah, it's so
and
good.
it was like, yeah, it's the best.
Yeah.
I wrote down sauce twice on this list. We're not going to worry about
it's
it.
both the variety
Both of them are
and
Slims.
the execution of them.
Dessert question. Anybody else give their desserts in a mason jar?
So I've never had dessert from
And
the
the
chicken
cookies.
places,
Cookies are
but
awesome.
but like Slim's has like, just from what I've seen, the by far the biggest variety of desserts.
I'm gonna give it to Slim's because
default.
Because Chick-fil-A doesn't have their lemon pie anymore. That was lemon pie with like vanilla wafers, I believe. It was a banger.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I like to pitch for the flex. Did you guys ever get the bowls from Strips and Olathe?
No,
never been to Strips.
They've got the potato bowl thing, the famous bowl that KFC has, but I think Strips does it pretty significantly better.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's just my experience, that's not that great. What about drinks? What about lemonade?
Lemonade's good.
Yeah, I typically just obviously get the same thing. I would say though, Cane's
Slim's has a great variety.
They also have cherry Coke.
We can give it to Slim's. I'm okay with continuing to decorate Slim's with awards. I guess we have to talk about Royals baseball with David Lesky. We'll ask his favorite chicken place and then talk about baseball with him next.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You can help City Union Mission bring hope and restoration to our neighbors in need when you give to our Celebrate Hope campaign. Your donation will provide food, shelter, clothing, life recovery, work readiness, and so much more in the year ahead. The campaign is underway now with the goal of raising $6 million by January 31st. Please make a gift today at cityunionmission.org and help Kansas City's poor and homeless celebrate hope. That's cityunionmission.org. Thank you.
Harry's Razors just came out with their sharpest blades ever. But unlike other razor companies, they're not charging you more. Harry's new sharper blades are still as low as $2 each. You heard me right, just $2. How do they do it? Harry's owns a German factory that's been honing razor blades for 100 years. They source their steel from Sweden and own the entire manufacturing process, from research and development to the factory floor. It allows them to keep the prices lower. How confident are they? A 100% quality guarantee. You'll see it at harrys.com. Blades are even delivered directly to you. No getting unmasked and standing in line. They're delivered straight to your door, with or without a subscription. And right now, Harry's has a great offer for my listeners. New customers get $5 off a Harry's trial set when you use the promo code PETRO, P-E-T-R-O, at harrys.com. That's a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and travel cover, all for just $3, plus free shipping. That's razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and travel cover, all for $3, shipped to you for free. Only at harrys.com, only with promo code PETRO.
With its dedication to bringing wellness to Kansas City, CBD American Shaman is excited to announce the opening of Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness at 117th and Row in Camelot Court. Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness offers medical aesthetics and IV nutrient therapy, and there is a full-service CBD American Shaman store there too. Start your journey to wellness with Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness. Go to shamantotalwellness.com. Remember, life is better with a feather.
Prime Lending's mortgage professionals are ready to assist you with your next home loan or refinance of your current residence. Prime Lending has 10 convenient locations to serve you. Visit whyprimelendingkc.com. That's WHYPrimelendingkc.com or call 816-600-4561. Prime Lending ranked #1 mortgage lender in the Kansas City, Missouri metro area market per Market Track January 2019 to October 2020. All loans subject to credit approval, rates and fees subject to change. Prime Lending, a Plains Capital Company, NMLS 13649, is an equal housing lender.
Hey sports fans, the new 810 Fan Shop has all the gear you need to rep your favorite teams. Check out our new collegiate line and get ready for spring baseball and St. Patty's Day now at 810WHB.com/shop. You can choose from a variety of t-shirt designs and styles, premium hoodies or crew necks, and even snag something for your little KC sports fan with our new youth sizes. Looking for a baby shower gift for the MVP on your list? Check out our infant t-shirts and onesies. It's all at the 810 Fan Shop. Check it out today online at 810whb.com/shop.
Kansas City's favorite sports station, 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
I'm Sean Ryder. The Colts need of a starting quarterback after the retirement of Phillip Rivers coming off the playoff season, and Indy has agreed to acquire Carson Wentz from the Eagles for a third-round pick in this year's draft and a 2022 second-round pick that could turn into a first-rounder. Wentz reunited with Frank Reich, the Indy head coach, who was the former Eagles offensive coordinator. ESPN Colts reporter Mike Wells.
There was a line there. Chris Ballard loves his draft picks. He was not going to give up multiple first-round picks for Carson Wentz, and I don't blame him. I mean, you're talking about a guy that was benched last year. There's no way you can give up a first-round pick for a guy that got benched last season. So there wasn't really much of a market. And to Ballard's credit, he stayed patient and didn't try to get into a bidding war, and it worked out for the Colts.
Mike Wells on ESPN Radio's Chiney and Golick Jr., the captains for next month's NBA All-Star Game of the Lakers, LeBron James, and Brooklyn's Kevin Durant. Lakers getting set to host the Nets. Durant out for the game with a strained hamstring. Kyrie Irving is available after missing one game with a back issue. Lakers without Dennis Schroeder due to COVID protocol. One game in the NBA right now. It's in the fourth quarter in Milwaukee, and it's all Toronto. The Raptors blowing out the Bucks 100-83. Pascal Siakam with 25 points. In college basketball, start of the second half in Spokane. Top-ranked Gonzaga looking to go to 21-0, and they lead rival St. Mary's 51-24. It's on ESPN TV and the app as well. Number 11 Iowa, a 77-62 win at 21st ranked Wisconsin. Luka Garza 30 points, 8 rebounds to the victory for the Hawkeyes.
Hey, it's Greeny, and on a Football Friday, we'll be talking about the enormous trade. Carson Wentz to the Indianapolis Colts. What does it mean for all the rest of the dominoes? And do the Colts now become the favorites to win the Super Bowl? Friday with Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN+.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I got a woman to give me $50 because I told her I was Mike Sweeney, and she believed me.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.